Flies over the ocean. Harold flies over the sea. Harold flies over the ocean. Oh, look at what Harold can see.
Take a bow.
Take a bow.
Okay. Thank you.
My name is Dan Habib. My wife Betsy and I have two boys, Isaiah and Samuel. When I became a photojournalist 20 years ago, I did a story on one of the first elementary schools in New Hampshire to try inclusion, or mainstreaming as it was called at the time. At Beaver Meadow Elementary, kids with disabilities began to join the same classrooms as kids without disabilities. Now my son goes to Beaver Meadow. He has a disability, and I think about inclusion every day.
When Samuel was a baby and we first started realizing that he might have a disability, I remember being really afraid, because all the things you imagine for your child were things I was afraid about. How could he run around on the playground and play kickball when he couldn't run? How could he yak on the phone with his teenage friends when he has trouble talking? How could he get a full education and go to college when he can't hold a pencil? I just couldn't imagine beyond that, and I was very afraid for him and for us.
Are you coming over to me? Are you coming over to me?
I am Isaiah, Samuel's brother. He was born when I was about 3 years old. We love to watch the Patriots games together. You didn't get that, did you? You didn't get that. Teddy Bruschi goes down. We love to play tackle.
I got you.
No, actually, I got you. There's sunlight streaming from his smile.
Samuel likes spaceships. His favorite color is yellow. Does he like sunflowers? I like sunflowers.
Those are Samuel's classmates, his friends. He's going to grow up with these kids, and they'll know him as Samuel, not the kid in the wheelchair.
Inclusion is the best way for every child to learn, not just the child who comes in with a speech issue or the child who uses a wheelchair. It's every single child has a multiple way of learning, and we need to discover those ways.
I made this film to honestly share our story as we try to figure out how to include Samuel in our school, our community, our family, in every aspect of our lives. But Samuel is young, and including him may become more and more challenging. So I also made this film to learn from the experiences of others, like Alana Malfy, Nathaniel Oriana, Emily Huff, and Keith Jones, who can look back on the choices they made and their parents made, and how that affected their lives.
You cannot box people up in a room 20 by 20, 8 hours a day, and then ship them off into the world and expect them to have social interaction skills. It's not going to happen.
Keith told me what it was like to grow up in the 1970s, when almost all kids with disabilities were completely segregated from the typical kids.
I asserted myself. I don't care about paste and popsicle sticks. I want math. You know, can I get some math? Something. I was different in the fact that I had a family that knew what it was and how it was to be in education. They knew what they wanted for their child, because they also expected a lot of me. It's not all on the school. It's a two-sided equation.
Is inclusion easier for young kids like Samuel? What makes inclusion work well, and what makes it fail?
I'm nice and funny, but people don't understand that, you know?
We feel that they thought that inclusion was a good idea, so yes, let's go do inclusion. I did not have any formal or informal training to have these students in my class. How am I going to reach the valedictorian and reach Alana at the same time? I don't know how to do that. I'm not even sure I reached the middle of the road this year. I have cried many times about this year. I don't know what to do. I don't want another year like this year.
Around the time Samuel started elementary school, I wondered, what does a school that is a model for inclusion look like? I met Marlene Oriana, a mother who was on the same search for her child.
He was withdrawn, very repetitive in all of his movements, very, very minimal speech. I didn't know anything about autism, and neither did my husband. I mean, it was like going on a roller coaster that never ended.
Nathaniel and his family visited the Haggerty School, a public elementary school in Cambridge, Massachusetts.
As soon as I walked in through the door with my husband, we said, this is it. It feels like home.
We really accept people for who they are and what they are. Whether it's one's racial background, racial ethnic background, one's social economic background, one's family constellation, one's abilities. Seeing diversity in its fullest sense as an important quality.
We're having about 2 more minutes left.
I can't limit him. I can't do that. Everybody else in life is going to limit him. I can't do it.
And trying hard not to bump into each other.
Now that I'm so close to a person with a disability, I can't believe that I was so blind to what people with disabilities in our community, in our country, in the world deal with every day. There was this huge civil rights issue, this huge amount of prejudice going on, and I never noticed it before.
I see the work of inclusion as probably the last frontier of desegregation. If you read the brief from Brown versus Board of Ed, the Board of Education argued that if we let blacks be integrated, that the next thing you know is that we'll be letting people with disabilities be integrated.
Samuel has changed the way I look at everyone around me. He has taught me not to prejudge anyone by how they talk, or whether they can talk, or how they move or see or hear. He has taught me patience. He has taught me not to make assumptions. Have you learned anything from him?
Yeah, I guess.
What?
I learned it's possible to sit down, play t-ball and hit and still hit really far at the same time.
Samuel brought the disability rights movement into our home, and every day it brings new questions. As Samuel grows up, what can we do to make sure that people see that his cerebral palsy is just one part of who he is? Can we continue to fully include him as he goes to middle and high school? What about the times when inclusion has to take a back seat, as Samuel misses weeks of school to get through another health crisis? I don't know the answers to those questions right now, but I know that Samuel loves life. He loves to laugh and he loves the Red Sox. He wants to keep up with his brother and be a part of everything we do. He will teach a lot of people, which is good, because the world has a lot to learn.